In the head, totally you have 12 important nerves. These are the cranial nerves. In that, the seventh cranial nerve, which is a facial nerve, it supplies the facial muscles, the muscles of facial expression. Now, when you have infection of the ear, that is especially the middle ear, this can result in damage of the facial nerve. So, first let us see the structure of the ear. The ear can be divided into three parts: outer ear, middle ear and inner ear. Infection of the middle ear is termed as otitis media. When the duration is less, it is called as acute otitis media, and when the duration is more than 3 months, it is termed as chronic otitis media. In this video, we are dealing with facial nerve palsy related to or complicated by acute otitis media. Let us see the course of the facial nerve first. The facial nerve, once it exits from the brain, it passes through the middle part of the middle ear first. Then it comes out near this part, angle of the mandible here, then it reaches the face. In the middle ear, it is seen in one of its walls where it is completely enclosed in a canal or a tunnel, which is called as a fallopian canal. So what happens in otitis media, that is infection in the middle ear, this infection can affect the facial nerve. How? It is already enclosed, it is in the canal. It can affect the facial nerve only when there is a dehiscence or defect in this facial canal. So what happens? The infection from the middle ear, through this defect or dehiscence, it goes inside the canal and affects the canal. So the result of this, the facial palsy, is because of middle ear bacterial infection. And some of them, they hypothesize that maybe it is because of reactivation of the virus infection, which is already in the nerve. This reactivation is because of the middle ear bacterial infection. Whatever it is, the facial nerve damage or dysfunction is mainly because of the infection of the middle ear. How does it damage the facial nerve? Once it goes through the defect or dehiscence, it can pressurize, it can increase the pressure, and the increased pressure inside the fallopian canal, which can be because of venous congestion or because of tissue edema, this can lead to dysfunction of the facial nerve. And the bacteria, it can release toxins which may be neurotoxic, and it can damage the facial nerve. Now, next let us see the presentation. The patient complaint will be, they say that they are having fever they had fever for a few days, and running nose, upper respiratory tract infection, and after that they develop ear pain, which has been increasing, and followed by ear discharge. Once there is ear discharge, the pain decreases, and soon after that, when the ear pain is there, they notice asymmetry of the face. That is, they are not able to close their eyes properly. When they smile, one side moves properly, the angle of the mouth moves properly in the normal side, the other side it doesn't, and there is drooling of saliva too, not able to eat properly. These are the complaints. On examination, there will be fever and running nose will be blocked, and examination of the eardrum, it shows that eardrum is bulged and there is severe redness in that. This is a real picture of the eardrum, which is silvery in color, translucent. This is a drawn diagram which shows bulged and congested or reddish eardrum. Sometimes we may see a perforation or a hole in the eardrum and pus coming out, draining out from there. So we need to admit the patient and start with the investigations. The routine blood test and renal function test, followed by high resolution CT scan with contrast of this particular bone, which is called as a temporal bone. So it will be reported as infection in the middle ear, and sometimes you may be able to make out a dehiscence. The chances are less. If there is any other complication, related complication, then we need to do an MRI. But usually CT scan will be more than enough. Along with that, we need to do a hearing test. And if there is a pus discharge, we have to send the pus discharge culture for culture and sensitivity so that we can know which bacteria is involved and which specific antibiotic can be given against that. Now, you have one more test which I have written, that is facial electrodiagnostic test. Usually this is not required. It may be required if the child or the patient doesn't improve after 2 weeks and becomes worse. I'll come to that later. Now, as soon as the patient is admitted, we have already started with antibiotic, and we always, when we see these type of patients, we have a concern or we have a plan that maybe the child may need surgery. So, first what we'll do is we'll take a concern for surgery from you. The concern will be the pus which is inside the middle ear has to be removed, that is myringotomy. And along in the same concern paper, the complications of the surgery also will be written. So go through the concern and go through the complications and do sign, and it will be countersigned by the doctor and the date will be written. We need to get a clearance from the pediatrician, and with that clearance we have to meet the anesthetist. So anesthetist, after examination of all the reports and the clearance of the pediatrician, he will give a clearance for surgery. Once that is done, the patient is ready for surgery, and he or she should not take anything per orally 4 hours before surgery. It doesn't mean that we have planned for surgery for sure. No. If necessary, if the surgery is necessary, we are ready for it. So as soon as the patient is admitted, we have already started with IV antibiotic, and most importantly, we start with steroids also. Along with these two main treatment, we need nasal drops and nasal spray. Nasal drops 3 times daily, and nasal spray will be, if age less than 12 or less than 12, it will be once daily, and more than 12 it will be twice daily. If there is ear discharge, then we have to do suctioning also. And one more important thing, that whenever the facial nerve is damaged, the patient will not be able to blink the eye. Normally, a person, he blinks from 15,000 times to 25,000 times per day. That means 15 to 20 times per minute. So in case of facial nerve palsy, this blinking capacity is gone, function is gone. So the eye is left unprotected. So there is a high possibility it can damage the eyes. So we refer to an ophthalmologist, and you have to follow the orders of the ophthalmologist, and they will say you have to apply artificial tears every 2 hourly. And before you go to bed, before you sleep, you have to apply ointment followed by closure of the eye with a pad. These are the advice from the ophthalmologist. Now, patient is admitted, IV antibiotics, steroids and all the medications started. We'll wait for 24 to 48 hours. If there is good improvement, without surgery, we can manage it medically. So what do I mean by improvement? It means fever has come down, patient is feeling well, ear pain has come down, and there is mild improvement in facial muscles, and the facial muscles started working. Facial nerve starts working again. If suppose, in case the patient doesn't improve within 48 hours, that means persistence of fever, there is ear pain and facial asymmetry which is increasing, we have to take the patient for surgery. What surgery? I have mentioned before, the main cause for this is infection in the middle ear. There is pus in the middle ear which has to be drained out. So the surgery will be myringotomy. Tomy means to open. Myringo means eardrum. So this surgery hardly takes less than half an hour. But in total, transferring the patient, the staff nurse care, anesthetist care, all together it takes about 1 to 1.5 hours. So suppose that the patient leaves his room to the operation theatre by 9 o'clock, he'll be back in his room by 10:30. So the operation will be, we'll make a incision in the eardrum to remove all the pus. Either it can be wide field myringotomy, wide opening in the eardrum, or some doctors may prefer to keep a grommet to keep the incision patent. So either way, it's okay. The main idea is to remove the pus from the middle ear. Now, once the surgery is done and the patient has come back to the room, for next 4 hours, nil per hour, not to be taken anything per hour. No, you should not drink anything, you should not eat anything for 4 hours. After that period, you will be asked to start with the fluid with clear water, and if suppose you don't vomit, then you can have liquid diet that particular day. So what are the advices? From that day onwards, they will be starting on ear drops. 3 drops 3 times daily for 5 to 7 days, and all the other antibiotics, painkillers, everything will be going on. Still you are in the hospital, we will try to do ear suction cleaning also. Now the take home message, take home instructions. So since you have a incision or opening in the eardrum, any water which enters the ear from outside, it can infect the middle ear again and reactivate the infection. So you have to protect the ear. So any time when you take a head shower, you have to keep a occlusion cap, ear plug, or simple cotton followed by application of Vaseline will do the work. And try to avoid swimming, and in case you get an upper respiratory tract infection, try to meet the doctor once again and take the medications properly so that you can avoid infection spreading from the nose to the ear. Either infection comes from it enters the ear directly through the incision which has been made, or it can start from the nose and go through the small tube called eustachian tube and reach the ear. You have to block both. Now, the facial nerve which has been damaged because of the infection, it recovers after these procedures. It takes about 2 to 3 weeks. In case it doesn't recover after 2 to 3 weeks, we have to do an electrodiagnostic test. And if it is reported as damage of the facial nerve by 90%, then the patient is a candidate for surgery. I have already mentioned that the main cause for the facial nerve damage is because infection in the middle ear, or the pus which is collected in the middle ear, it is pressurizing on the facial nerve. And the facial nerve is traversing or going inside the canal, which is a closed canal. So what we will have to do in the surgery, we open up the eardrum, and this tunnel has to be opened up in case there is pressure inside and is pressurizing the swelling inside, is pressurizing the facial nerve, it can be released. So the name of the surgery will be decompression of the facial nerve. This is a surgical management. So this is about facial nerve palsy secondary to acute otitis media. Thank you so much.